All right, Jade, I'm super excited about today's topic.
Yes, we're going to be talking about a certified financial divorce analyst.
Certified Divorce Financial Analysts. We're used to saying CDFA,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
CDFA, and we're going to stick with that going forward because it's just too much of a mouthful.
It is. I kind of needed to pause halfway through that there. But
Well, I'm a CDFA,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm excited to talk about me.
Yep.
How about you?
Well, I'm starting to be one there.
Yeah.
But the reason why we're wanting to talk about this today is because if you could be potentially leaving tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars
On the
the
table.
table that
During
you're not
your
that's not
divorce.
going to go into your pocket during divorce if you're not surrounding yourself with the right team and advice. And a CDFA is one of those key components of that.
Now, we don't want to say that they're going to be fighting for you, but they're there to help make the process as fair as possible.
No, normally the bulldog's the attorney, isn't it? That's the one who's
Yes.
doing the fighting.
Yes, but they are not the number cruncher, which we've been mentioning a few times now. They are not good at number crunching, so you bring in the CDFA with your team, whether it's a mediator or attorney, to really accurately crunch those numbers for either the couple or for yourself to make sure that the split is fairly done.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to try and cover in our time today is why having a CDFA as part of your team is important, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The roles that they can play, as well as
why we decided to be one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Learn from our mistakes,
Learn
which we'll
from our
kind of
mistakes.
which we'll certainly get into there. So
I actually feel like this is my calling. Yes, financial advisor. I love what I do, but more specifically, I really want to help people walk into that next phase of their life as a divorced person, feeling like their divorce went as smoothly as it could and that they walked away from a fair settlement.
And I know you've been talking about this off and on for a number of years now. So, which, that you wanted to kind of maybe be more of an advocate. You kind of were doing this role unofficially. I was kind of like nicknaming Jo like she just attracted divorce women considering divorce at least.
Yes. So right after I got divorced, it was amazing. All these people popped out of nowhere getting referred to me, friends of friends, my ex-husband's friends, sister, just people wanting help with their divorce because it doesn't feel like there's much out there if you're not in one of those really intense divorces where you have attorneys literally duking it out. I feel like the assistance kind of drops from there.
And I'm wondering why people were reaching out to you for that, because I still think maybe there's a part of there's a stigma with going through a divorce and shame, because I think people were still reaching out to you who were
secretly
maybe not even thinking they wanted to do it, but what's my rights? What am I eligible for? Because they might have been,
what is it going to look like? People wanted to know what it was going to look like. Yeah.
Because you can also be in cases where you're being told by the other spouse, maybe the CFO spouse, well, you're not entitled to this. That's mine. So you don't get any of that.
Yeah. And your little radar, your little intuition tells you, I don't know if that's true, but who do I verify that with? Right?
Yeah. A CDFA would be a great person to kind of even just have those initial conversations with.
Flesh it out, yeah.
I think a lot of them will probably, even just work on an hourly basis as well, correct?
Yeah. You have this team, right? So you know that you're supposed to hire a mediator or maybe a lawyer.
Yep.
Right? And you know that if you have some emotional needs to be met, you know that you can go to your friends, your family, perhaps your therapist.
Mm-hmm.
But then once it comes down to the numbers, you're not sure who to go to. I think that was the case for each of our divorces, right? I wasn't sure who to go to for that part. And I figured I'd just figure it out. I'm a financial advisor.
Yeah. In my situation, and we'll dig into it a little bit more soon, but I thought maybe that was the mediator's role to kind of
I thought so too.
Guide that and give me or give us, I don't know, recommendations
or even the consulting attorney. So I did hire, we went through the mediation process, but I was advised by a friend my divorce mentor. I should hire a consulting attorney, which is like that little person on your shoulder that advises you through the mediation process behind the scenes. So I did hire someone to do that with, and I did some number crunching with her, but as I found later, some of it was inaccurate because it's just, I think they just know the basics and they're really there to legally get you divorced.
Yeah.
And I think if they had a choice, I'm not even putting down the attorney or mediator. If they had the choice, they would rather bring somebody in that knows the numbers better than they do.
Yeah. Because there can be quite a lot of work involved in calculating and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's intricacies and state laws and things that differ from state to state that, you know, maybe they don't keep up with because that's not really what they're there for.
It's not their main responsibility for assisting divorcing couples, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They're there for the legal stuff, not, how should we split these assets and what's the best strategy?
Yeah. So like that's what the attorney is really there for. They will probably actually even have someone maybe that they've got a partnership with, whether they be a financial analyst or a CDFA or someone who's going to do that forensic accounting work for them.
And I think maybe looking back, I should have just asked, right? Because I had assumed, I did my little Google research. I only knew about forensic accountants. And I feel like forensic accountants are really for those much higher net worth clients that...
It just sounds like you need to have more money for that.
Well, it's like a little financial detective. So if you feel like your spouse is hiding hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, you hire this forensic accountant to really dig and find those assets. So that's different. That's in the tens of thousands to begin with. CDFAs, I would say for most couples that have assets, right? Like,
would you almost say, and without swearing, I don't know if we let us swear. I don't know.
Okay.
I guess it's our call on that one. But like, is a role or part of the CDFA also to kind of call BS on whether it be the CFO spouse or the non-CFO spouse and say, actually, no.
Yes.
You might think that you're entitled to all of that, or you might think that that's, not a non-marital asset.
Right.
But the law just sees it differently. So
that's right. So even though I say that they're not there to advise, really, they're there to present the information. They are there to call out the BS. So it's like, you have no rights to this. It's like, well, actually, you do.
Because going through the process myself, I was thinking the mediator would be able to do that.
Right.
Wrong.
Right.
Because when I'm looking up to that mediator in the meeting and I'm like, wait, why aren't you advising here? I'm like, what are you doing for me?
Right.
It's like,
they're there to get through the list of questions to get you divorced. Right. Whereas the CDFA is really there to say, hey, your assets are calculated to a total of this much, your marital assets and your separate assets. So your marital assets, we need to get to this number for each party. And let's figure out, from your combination of assets, the way that's going to make both of you most happy or most content or at peace. Right? Because it doesn't have to be half of every account, right? So it could be a mix. We just have to get to a total.
Yeah, I think that's an important point because that doesn't mean then you necessarily have to go with that, but at least it enlightens you of what you're actually, allowed to have. But like, hey, I am actually entitled to that. So maybe I can, let's negotiate on maybe that, whatever, a certain part of it that I really don't care about, but I know you care about it. And we're both fighting over this other one thing together. So maybe I'll say, I'll let you have that, which is really all mine. And I'll
keep this other piece.
Yeah, that's right.
And what would have been helpful for you? Like what happened to you?
I actually had met with a forensic accountant.
Okay.
Briefly for that, initial intro meeting. I was like, okay, I could do this. I might come back and revisit that later on. I even then met with an attorney who said maybe that I was entitled to some more things as well. But then when I was negotiating through, or when we were sitting down with the mediator, I thought that mediator, because we ultimately decided to go down that mediator route. And so when we're talking there, I was receiving feedback from my ex-spouse, whose sister-in-law is a very successful divorce attorney. And I almost felt like I was being preached to and being told, no, actually, no, you might think this is your right, but that's actually not the case.
So who was telling you that?
My ex.
Oh, okay.
Through her
Yeah,
sister-in-law, who's one of the top
The
divorce
person
attorneys.
on her shoulder that's helping her
Correct.
through the divorce. Yes.
And obviously, I know. Looking back on it now, hindsight, I wish I should have gone down my own route there, even though there probably would have been some, friction at the time.
Short-term friction, yes.
But I think what happened to me was maybe I was steamrolled a little bit. It kind of came down to a series of buy and sells of a house, which ultimately I had bought more money into those purchases there.
Separate property.
We live in Los Angeles, so property values are, unfortunately a little bit higher over here. But it kind of meant that I was leaving probably over $100,000 that was mine on the table there, which I then therefore split.
Right.
And at the time, I just kind of was like, whatever, I'm just getting it over and done with. I really wish I hadn't. And I really wish that I knew about what a CDFA was.
Yeah. I wish I knew one existed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't even know what that was. I've heard of CFPs. There's so many different designations now. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What's this new one? Like, I don't even know what some of them stand for.
Yes.
If I had known that they had existed, we could have brought that person, maybe neutral.
As a neutral
to educate all of us.
Both of us.
With the mediator.
Yeah. Not both of us, both of you.
Yeah, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Whatever, same deal.
With that mediator, so that there's no hiding. It's like, all right, this is exactly what you're entitled to. No, Jade, you're not entitled to that. No, the other person, you're not entitled to that as well.
Right.
So that's my story. And so because of that, I want to really educate people and get the word out there so that people are aware of their rights and that there are these professionals there who can be consulted with.
Could be that impartial third party.
Yep.
So that you don't have to be left to fighting each other and saying, I'm right. No, I'm right.
Yeah.
So this person could just say, you're both wrong.
Yeah.
Or you're both right.
Yeah.
And can say, this is what you've got. These are the things that you can split. Mm-hmm. What's going to make you happiest, both of you? We just have to get to these two bottom lines to split the assets.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it hopefully takes that heat out of the negotiation process because there's this third party saying, this is it.
Yeah,
this is
not
black and white.
It's not me saying it. It's not the other person saying it.
Right.
Obviously, we know the mediator's not going to say it then.
Right. And for my ex,
tell us your story.
I feel like, I was left doing most of the calculations. And again, it was an amicable divorce. And other than like a tiny bit of resistance where he asked if I was ripping him off. And I think maybe actually that worked to his benefit because I think I ended up giving him more than I was supposed to because
of that
I wanted
comment.
to prove that I was not ripping him off, that I was being fair.
Not only am I not ripping you off, I'm giving you more now.
Yes. And that was primarily because I
don't know if that's a good bargaining skill.
I know. But I didn't know about the different tricks and strategies and things I was supposed to account for when splitting the value of a property, for example.
I think you mentioned that last time. Like, you could have even just left him on for like
a
percent.
I could have left him on temporarily. And then if I had sold by a certain number of years, we could have both kept our capital gains exclusion. I could have just calculated what the capital gains would be if we sold it at that point, even if I didn't, and just reduce the amount being split. For the tax. I didn't know I could do those things. I didn't know how to calculate those things. So again, I feel like this is my calling. There's a reason why people get sent to me, friends of friends of friends, for help, because there's a lack of resources out there, or maybe there are resources out there, but we don't know about them. Mm-hmm. So we want you, the listener, to know that there are resources. You need to find that CDFA. They can be hired by the hour.
Yep.
They tend to be cheaper than an attorney. They are useful, even in mediation. And you need to know what your financial rights are. Because
even if it's $10,000 extra, that can go a long way for a person. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But maybe we should step back a little bit and say talk about what is a CDFA. So or what kind of rigorous training did you have to go through?
Well, I'm still going through it at the
Yes.
moment. So
Lots and lots of studying, right?
There's a lot of calculations too.
Crazy calculator.
I do not like calculations. So I'm going to have to do some memorization of formulas.
Yeah.
Hopefully maybe in practice, I'm not having to remember these formulas. I can probably put in some calculator that we pay.
That's right. But there are some complex calculations.
There's obviously the financial education on it. There's also understanding different laws and regulations as well. So, I've only just finished my studying. So, but maybe you can kind of answer that question a little bit better than Joe.
So there's a lot of studying. There's an exam that you have to take. Typically, a CDFA professional comes from a financial planning like us, accounting or legal background. And, it's just a special set of financial laws and tools and equations very specific to divorce. So even though I felt I knew all there was to know about financial planning, there's a whole other set of stuff that we need to know and understand and embrace about divorce. I'm pretty confident nobody really thinks of on a normal day.
And unless you're continually going through that process there, it's a skill that you need to be, constantly maintaining.
You should find a specialist, right? Yeah. So there's lots of people that get their CDFA and never use it.
And never practice,
You want to make sure that just like, when you're interviewing mediators or attorneys to hire, you want to make sure that your CDFA that you're hiring is experienced in using those skills and that you feel good about it. It is, dare I say, this is like not the greatest word to use during divorce. It's like dating, right? You need to find a professional that you feel comfortable with, that you feel good about sharing your personal information, because you're going to be vomiting all your, financial information out to this person. You better feel good about, their skill set and just their empathy, right? They need to be empathetic. Even though they're a numbers person, they can still be a good listener and be sensitive to you.
You've mentioned previously, or at least to me in passing there, that and maybe it wasn't your line on it, but you've heard it from someone else.
Yes.
You said, what was it like?
Marriage is all about love, and divorce is all about money. So,
it's kind of true.
It is true. So, yes.
For a part of that divorce, it's,
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're nearing the end of this episode. And you know what time it is now.
Know. I've got another Disney focused one, seeing that we're still here at Disney World.
Oh, yeah. We are at the Shift conference at Disney World. That's why we're here.
Yeah, that's right. With other financial professionals,
learning about the human side of financial planning.
That's right. Yeah, which is interesting. So do you want me to go first on this one?
Sure.
All right. So obviously we come from California, so there's Disneyland there.
Yeah,
and
we live about an hour.
World.
Yeah.
So I want you to pick, you got to get rid of one of them. Which one would you divorce? Disney World or Disneyland?
I would divorce Disney World. I mean, I grew up practically at Disneyland. I used to go there with my parents growing up. I worked there for a period. I sold churros.
Ooh, delicious.
Ice cream, worked on Splash Mountain. I mean,
crowd control as well?
Crowd control with my anger management issues. Yes. So I do like my compact little Disneyland more than Disney World. So if I had to divorce one, goodbye Disney World.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. What about for me?
I know that you're like this outdoorsy dude. And
I've been known to be, yep.
Just a little bit. A little bit. You really enjoyed Disney World the other night, right? Because of all the artificialness.
Joe took me on some rides. My gut was up in my mouth. I was almost sick.
That
right. That Tron ride. Scary.
So back to the outdoors.
Yep.
Outside of Orlando. Oh, actually, there's no mountains here. Never mind. But back to the outdoors in general. Would you divorce mountain biking or swimming? And swimming in any body of water. So just swimming altogether.
I'd get rid of swimming because I could still go surfing.
No.
Scuba diving.
No.
I'm not swimming for that. So,
yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Let's get a mediator in on that one. Yeah. So can we get a CDFA?
No. You have to be swimming out on your surfboard to get out to the wave. That is swimming.
Well, I might get someone to push me out there. So I'll just do some little short ones.
Totally,
no, I would stick with mountain biking.
Totally not fair.
Because with mountain biking, I get to go up some get dirty, muddy, wet, sweaty, climb big mountains.
Okay.
Like, what's not to love there?
All right.
And I can still have a shower, I guess.
You'll stay dry.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, you'll go in the bathtub. Okay.
Today we kind of just spoke on
what is a certified divorce financial analyst, aka CDFA, and how they work in divorce proceedings.
Yep.
Right.
And the value that they can be really having for you, and why you probably should be considering incorporating a CDFA as part of your, advice team.
As in, they should work in conjunction with your mediator or attorney.
Yep.
They can work for the couple or for you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're meant to be the impartial third party to call BS on everyone.
Yeah, that's
financially.
Yeah, should be like their slogan or something like that. We call BS on you.
Financial BS.
Yeah.
Yes.
BS. Well, thanks for joining us here over in Orlando from the Shift Conference, and
we'll chat with you next time.
Yeah. Until then, bye.